Hey, welcome back to the channel, you guys. I've been on a remake kick lately, and I've been wanting to talk about remakes that I was really, intrigued by. I really loved them and stuff like that. So I want to get right to the point. And I've been getting views on this channel, and I really appreciate those people giving me those views. I really do. I ain't begging for no subscribers. I'm not going to say hit the like or anything, but if you ever can remember hitting the like, or you're considering, subscribing, I appreciate it. But other than that, I don't ask that too much. But anyway, this remake is called Cape Fear. Okay? I ain't gonna lie. I fell in love with Cape Fear. I remember Cape Fear when it first came out. It had Nick Nolte, and it had Robert De Niro. Yep, Nick Nolte and Robert De Niro. And I went to the theater to go see this movie. And I was single at this time. I remember taking this cute little redhead girl to the movies to go see that movie with me. Yeah, she had red hair. I was on a roll with girls back in them days. But anyway, let me get back on the movie. Going back in history here. But anyway, Cape Fear came out in 1991. And it blew me away. I remember going. I actually remember going to the theater to go and seeing that movie, and it was packed. And it came out in 1991, and I was 32 years old. And that movie was 2 hours and 8 minutes long. And it had a 74% Rotten Tomatoes. 74% Rotten Tomatoes. So that means a lot of people, And I remember liking that movie so much. I mean, it just was it was so good. Had, I think, Jessica Lange in it or something like that. I think that's her name or something like that. And that girl, that was the little girl, she ended up being a halfway decent star later on. But that was such a good movie, man. Robert De Niro, man, he nailed that. He really nailed that. So, so I was so I was so like loving that, I remember when it was available to buy. I think I bought it, but I don't have it anymore. But I do have it on digital. And so I was 32 years old back then, and then somebody says, hey, that's a remake, right? Because I think I was at this job. I had lots of jobs, so I said, a remake? They said, yeah, that's a remake. They made one a long time ago. It's in black and white. I said, seriously? I said, yeah. So I looked it up, and sure enough, they had a Cape Fear that came out in 1962. And it had Gregory Peck playing the same role. He was playing the role that Nick Nolte was playing in the 1991. And Gregory Peck is also in the 1991, but he's real old. Because when Gregory Peck was the main dude in the 1962, he was a younger man. So, obviously he was younger because you got 1962 to 1991. But when he was in 1991, he played a judge. It's so weird because there was Robert Mitchum was the bad guy in 1962, and Robert De Niro was the bad guy in 1991. And then Robert Mitchum played a private detective in 1991 that Nick Nolte hired to find out more about Robert De Niro. So it's so funny because some of the people from the original cast came back in the 1991. Now, Telly Savalas, I think he would have been in it if he wouldn't have died. Because Telly Savalas died of throat cancer. But he was in the 1962 one. He played the guy that Robert Mitchum played as trying to find out what Robert Mitchum was, the bad guy in the 1962. I know it sounds confusing, but it's really cool. So anyway, I was so blown away by Cape Fear. So I was like, man, you know what? I'm gonna check this Cape Fear 1962 out. Now I remember watching it, and I was like, I can't get into it, So I turned it off because I had fell in love with the, Cape Fear in 1991. So I was like, well, maybe I ought to give this thing a shot. That's what I said, So I was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna sit down and watch this Cape Fear. And I watched Cape Fear in 1962, and man, did I fall in love with it. It's in black and white again. And some of you won't be able to even, older people probably would, but younger people are like, oh man, this movie sucks, man. I can get it, because you can't But there are some young people that they're a little bit more open-minded and they like stuff like this. But anyway, it's not about that. It's about that. I remember watching it from start to finish, and I said, oh my God, this is really a good movie, man. I could see why they would want to remake Cape Fear. And I'd say, man, this, at the end of the day, this is probably even Steven. I have to give 1991 the slight edge again, due to the fact I had this memory taken out. I remember taking this girl out, because man, I was dating all kinds of girls back then because I was working out and I had bloomed. I was a late bloomer, and man, I was just a late bloomer, man. When I took off, my body started getting all built, and I came into my own. I was just dating one girl after another. I asked her, did she want to come? Did she want to go see that movie with me? And she said, yeah. I remember taking her to go see that movie. Man, I got fond memories of that, you know, with that. So anyway, but it was so good. It was so good. The premises of it is the guy was a lawyer, and he didn't, you know, he was supposed to be a lawyer for this guy that raped a girl, and he kind of threw him, he buried his case. And if you're familiar with burying cases, it means that they didn't really get into the guy's case. They kind of like threw him at the mercy of the court because they didn't really get into this guy's case because they didn't like the fact that they raped a girl. So lawyers are not supposed to do that. Lawyers are actually supposed to represent who they're representing. But these both movies are based on the same thing. These lawyers found out what really happened, and they kind of like just did a kind of half-assed job defending the guy that was actually guilty of raping the girl. But when you're a lawyer, you're not supposed to do that. And somehow, this movie set up where the guy knew when he went to prison, he started studying law, and he found out that he didn't represent him fairly. That's what this is all about. So anyway, you guys, that's my little take on all my little remakes. But Cape Fear, wow, 1962, 96 Rotten Tomatoes, 1 hour and 46 minutes. Cape Fear, 1991. I was 32 years old. It was 2 hours and 8 minutes. And it had 74% Rotten Tomatoes. So the old one got a better percentage of Rotten Tomatoes. And obviously, you know, I didn't watch it back in 1972 because I was just a toddler. I was only 3 years old. You know what I mean? So, wow. Yeah, mom's not around no more. Oh, the good old days. Guys, take care. God bless. And we'll catch you in the next video. We'll see you.